Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. This is Corey Brinkmeyer, head boys varsity soccer coach at Linn-Mar High School, giving you an audio and video recap of the 2014-15 soccer season player-parent meeting recently held on December 10th, 2014. Our first mention of the evening was about the player expectations that we have for all of our players 9 through 12. The first thing is, if you're a new player, at some point very soon, please go to the new player registration form, which you can see here. What this form allows us to do is get some contact information for you and your parents' players, and provide for us some background information on playing experience, social media use, things like that. Once you've done that, we will take that information and add you to all of our contact information, so that when we send emails out, you as players and also your parents will receive the information that we want for you to have. Next, we expect all of our players to be familiar and follow team policies. We'll mention a few of those policies in a few minutes. If you haven't reviewed our handbook before, please take a little bit of time to read through that. Both players and parents would be especially valuable for all of you to know what the expectations are. Players, we want for you to stay active year-round, whether that's a full-time club soccer player, whether that's a multi-sport athlete or otherwise. We want for you to stay active. That gives you the best chance to be successful on the soccer field. We also ask all players and parents to help sell the program. Be proud of the Linn-Mar men's soccer program that you're involved with. Be proud of your teammates and what they're doing. And be proud of all of the teams, varsity, JV, and fresh soft. Also, we ask players to find and excel in their role on the team. Not everybody's going to be a starter. Not everybody is going to be the first player off of the bench. Not everybody's going to be the team's captain. So figure out what your role, what your niche on the team is, and be the best at that particular role. Further expectations are listed on our website, which you'll be able to see here. Most of the links that you're going to need right away and that are mentioned tonight are either going to be under current players or under the shop menu. Here are the current player expectations. There's about 6 of them. We mentioned a couple of them. There are also some additional information for players in regards to diet and nutrition, as well as a guideline that we call the Soccer 16, with just some different strategies and different theories behind being a great soccer player. Parents, this slide is specifically for you. First of all, please be a role model for your children. They look up to you, even when we don't necessarily always expect that may be the case. They're always looking at you for guidance, and we try and provide the same thing as coaches, so we try and be role models for the kids as well. Please encourage your child to advocate for themselves. If there's a team issue, please have them address the coaches specifically. If they're having trouble with a teammate, if they're unsatisfied with playing time, if they just want to know how they can improve overall, please encourage them to talk to the coaches. Let them start to understand the dynamic between an adult and a non-parent adult and a student or an athlete, and encourage them to talk to us. As mentioned previously, we also ask that parents, that you also help sell the program. One of the ways that you can get involved if you're interested, first of all, is just to help at concessions with the Booster Club reps, Lynn Charlton and Janine Comstock. You'll probably see emails from one or both of them asking for volunteers for various dates. We can also use your help in filming games from the press box or otherwise, and taking photos down on the field or even in the stands. We can use your help in helping coordinate and organize various events during the season, like t-shirt orders, camp and clinic check-ins, banquet setup. And if you're a varsity parent, there may be an opportunity for you to host a meal at your house or contribute to a meal. And for any parents, we ask for your help in picking up and dropping off meals for away games. Normally, that's from the Jimmy John's location near Dick's Sporting Goods. Parents and fans, please know that there are expectations for you on our website as well. You can find that also under the Current Player tab under the expectations, for players and fans. There is some really good information for parents if you're a yeller or if you like to communicate to your son on the field on beneficial ways to do that. Next, a few points of emphasis from the handbook. We certainly are not going to take this opportunity, nor did we at the meeting, to go through every single point in the handbook. So please take an opportunity to do that on your own time. Some of the major points of emphasis include code of conduct violations. While the school code of conduct violations include a 3 strikes and you're out policy, we have narrowed this down for our soccer program to 2 strikes and you're out. The first offense, if you break the Linn-Mar school code of conduct, is you miss 1/2 of the season of games. You can continue to practice, but you cannot participate in any games. 1/2 of your season, depending on which team you're on, will determine the number of exact games that is. For a second offense, that's a full season game suspension. And a third offense would enact the Linn-Mar school code of conduct, 3 strikes and you're out policy. Next would be yellow and red card penalties. We know that every official judges the game a little bit different, calls the game a little bit differently. So we look at each situation on a case-by-case basis. A carded player may receive no additional reprimands or may receive a suspension up to 5 games, depending on what the violation is. State rule has determined that if you get 2 yellow cards in a particular game, that then becomes a red card and you're out for the remainder of that game, plus the following game date. That means that if there are multiple games on that date, you're suspended for the entire day. Next is academic importance. All student athletes are expected to keep a C or better in all of their classes. If grades drop below the cutoff, student athlete will be asked to improve their grade by getting help during practice and game times until the grade has reached the C level. That player is disallowed to play in any games until the grade has been improved. Next are player responsibilities. There's 2 or 3 to mention here. The first is players are responsible to know when and where practices are located at. We use social media for that, but we also have a bulletin board outside of my classroom here at the high school that students can check every day and make sure that they know where they're supposed to be and at what time. Second, players, you're responsible for the apparel that's checked out to you. We provide a lot of the apparel, not all of it, but much of it to you, and have purchased it. We expect for you to turn it in after you launder it at the end of the season. And then third, please keep in mind that when you use social media, you are still a representative of our soccer program in Linn-Mar as a whole. While it may not be your intention to speak on behalf of all involved, it can be interpreted that way. A good rule of thumb is not to type anything that you wouldn't say to someone's face. So please be responsible with your use online, please. Next, if you're a dual sport athlete or if you're a club player during the season, please notify the coaching staff that you're involved in other activities, even if you don't think that they will conflict with our Linn-Mar soccer schedule. And then finally, dealing with injuries. All significant injuries must be checked and cleared by our trainer, Jill Kinsley, before the athlete can return to participation. If you go see a doctor outside of school, that doctor must clear you before you can return to any kind of participation. Next, you may just want to pause the video and read this, as sportsmanship is critical to the success of our program. All five of the forms on this slide are required by each player as determined by the Linn-Mar School Board and Linn-Mar High School Athletic Department. Each student must have a current medical physical that's good for 1 year plus 1 month, so you have time to renew it once it expires. You have to have a signed Linn-Mar Code of Conduct. You have to have a medical release card, which is an emergency card that the coaches keep with them at all times in case something would happen at a game or at a practice. You have to have a concussion waiver form completed. And then as you enter the ninth grade, you may have completed a baseline concussion test if you're involved in a sport of a physical nature. Football, basketball, soccer, all are examples of teams that must complete the baseline concussion test. Each individual player is asked to do this with our trainer, Jill Kinsley. Once that's done, in the case of any symptoms that may arise for a potential concussion, Jill can check where you're at currently compared to where you were at when you took the test to see if you are recovering and whether you can return to participation. All of these must be on file prior to participating in any practices or games. The items that you see on the screen now are the basic items that all players are expected to have, 9 through 12, and will be available through our team web store, which I'll talk about shortly. If you have these items from a previous year, you do not have to repurchase. The only completely new item this year are the gray socks. All other items are similar enough in nature that they can be reused if you have them. If you choose not to purchase these and provide your own, please do your best to make sure that the items are closely related in terms of color and style. If they're not the exact brand, that's okay. If it doesn't have our team logo, that's okay. But for example, please make sure that you have predominantly white shorts, predominantly black shorts, a gray t-shirt, gray socks, and white and black game socks. Here's just a quick practice of what we would like our players to dress like for practices, weather permitting, when we're outside. The team t-shirt, the black Nike shorts, and the gray Nike socks. Again, if you are providing your own, if it's similar enough in nature, that will be perfectly acceptable. If you're purchasing new shin guards this year, please make sure that the shin guards are appropriate to your age and to your size, and they have a stamp or a tag that looks like this in the upper right corner, and that it meets the standard. Officials, if they choose to, can check to ensure that your shin guards are appropriate for your age and your size. If they determine they are not, they can send you off or keep you from playing. If you're purchasing new shoes, please make sure that you purchase, first of all, the molded shoes. The molded shoes are the best shoes to use. They're the most comfortable for most players, and they can be used virtually on any surface that we might play on this season. Many of our games are on turf now, so replaceable shoes cannot be used. That's the picture on the right. Replaceable shoes cannot be used on artificial surfaces. They're really only good on grass and in extremely wet conditions. Also, make sure that if you're purchasing a molded shoe that it is a soccer shoe and that it doesn't have a spike or a cleat at the very front of the shoe. And finally, if you're providing or purchasing long sleeves to wear under your jersey or compression shorts to wear under your team shorts, that they be the same predominant color as the shorts or the jersey. All of our team jerseys are white for home and predominantly red for away. All of our team shorts for games are either white or black. The items that you can see referenced here will be available for players and parents and fans to purchase. A preview of these items can be found on our seasonal web store, which is shown right here. This is merely a preview. I do have some of these items as a sample. The polos will not be available as they're shown here, but everything else is virtually available, and even if it's not shown with our logo like this, our logo will be placed on it. The only other items that will not be printed would be the socks. Although our team gear is Nike by choice, individually purchased items can be really of any brand. You do not have to wear Nike apparel other than our team uniforms. The seasonal web store is provided through Lids Team Sports. The current dates that we are looking at is December 20th through January 10th of 2015. Once that web store closes, none of these items will be available for purchase, and we will not be purchasing any additional items to sell later on. At that point, you will be on your own to purchase the items that you need for the 2015 season. Again, we're looking at a web store open date of 12/20 rather than 12/12. Closing on January 10th, 2015. Those purchases are made by credit card. Meals will likely be provided by Jimmy John's for the majority of our away games, whether you play JV, fresh off, or varsity. That's an optional purchase for you. Last year the amount was $42. It's usually $7 to $8 per game, and we usually provide meals for between 6 and 7 game dates. That still is being determined. That can be paid to the high school cashier by cash, check, or credit card at your convenience once that final amount is determined. Please have all of your forms and payments made no later than March 11th, 2015. Our season officially starts on March 16th. That's the Monday of our week of spring break. We will practice twice daily during spring break, once in the morning and once in the afternoon. Morning sessions are largely fitness based, sometimes outside, sometimes inside, sometimes in the pool. The weather will likely determine some of that. In the afternoons, as much as possible, we try and be outside, and those practices are skill-based. If you're gone during the week of spring break, we ask that you make up some of the sessions that you missed during our Make-Up Fitness workouts the week of March 23rd through 27th. That's the first week of the fourth quarter or the week after spring break. Those times are 6:30 to 7:30 a.m. Naturally, that's before school. If you miss one day, it's considered missing the full day. So if you were to miss, let's say, Monday morning's workout for whatever the reason is, if you don't practice, you need to make up the Monday session on March 23rd. Our first games are April 4th in Muscatine, April 6th at Jefferson, April 9th versus Jefferson, and April 11th is our own 6-team varsity tournament. The remaining activities that we have available for players include the speed, agility, and quickness training on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Meet in Mr. Brinkmeyer's room. The open gyms. Check the calendar for the dates. And yoga is coming starting January 6th through February 27th. Thanks for watching this video. If you have any questions, please contact us at any of the following addresses.